Hello, everyone. Wanted to talk quickly about what happens when the Pope is elected. Not necessarily just taking his name, we all know what happens there, but how does a Pope become or when does the Pope kind of become the Pope, I guess is one way to put it. Uh, what happens? Oh, by the way, we have no Pope yet. That's expected. I don't think anyone thought that the election would get it done on the first attempt. When we look back at Pope Francis, his was on the fifth election. It was on the second day. So Pope Benedict was on the fourth attempt. And each time, it's kind of the same process. You start doing things in the morning when the conclave starts, and then there's a lot of pageantry and the litany of the saints and singing, and then being ceremonially locked in to the Sistine Chapel. But they don't typically get that first vote out until later in the day on day one, and then they'll call it a day and they'll get started the next morning. And you can have 3 or even 4 votes in a day. And Pope Benedict took 3 votes on the second day. Pope Francis took 4 votes on the second day. So then, what happens when they are actually elected? We need 89 votes in this conclave. That's 2/3 of the 133 cardinal electors present. And of those 133 cardinal electors, 108 were named cardinal by Pope Francis. This would be an indicator to many that there's a good chance for this to be a continuation of his papacy. I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I'm fine with that. If that happens, I'm fine with whoever they elect. Very happy, whoever it may be. I think there's only going to be someone great elected. It will be exactly what we need. And you really need that first vote casting because these cardinals have been talking amongst themselves for the last couple of weeks in many cases, and they need to take a read on who the favorites are. I was looking back at the voting of when Benedict the 16th was named Pope, and in those elections, there were always Pope Benedict and another guy, and then Bergoglio was actually the third. By it's supposed to be secret, but we do have some accounts of how the voting went, and Jorge Bergoglio, the cardinal from Argentina, got a good deal of support during the conclave that ultimately elected Pope Benedict the 16th. But then when the next one came around, after Benedict the 16th resigned, he was not seen as a favorite. And others were, but a couple others were, an Italian and a Canadian. They fell by the wayside, and that left Jorge Bergoglio. Don't know who it will be this time, but we do know what will happen. He will be asked if he accepts the papacy. He will accept the papacy. It is a heavy, heavy burden, but he will accept it, and he will ask what he would like to be called, and then he will be announced as such with the habemus, papam, and they will announce the winning cardinal and then what name he has selected. This will be followed by a papal blessing. And it was funny because what Pope Francis did before he gave the blessing, he asked for the prayers of the faithful that were assembled out in front. That was his first act, was asking for people to pray for him. And then he gave his blessing to them. And that was a hallmark of his entire papacy. Always, always, always asking people to pray for him. He was a smart man, and he knew he needed it, and we all need it. So he was in that advantaged position to be able to ask all of us to pray for him. And and kind of turned it on its head there a little bit. And then he quickly offered his blessing to the crowd. After that happens, there is an actual papal inauguration, and that can take place some days later, maybe a week later. And then the Pope, who is the Bishop of Rome, that is his first and foremost title. That was certainly the most important title that Pope Francis saw himself as having, was the Bishop of Rome. Will take possession of the St. John Lateran Church, which is the only archbasilica church in the world. That's the highest basilica, because it is the highest church in Rome, the highest church in Catholicism, the highest church in the world. So that is going to be the official seat, the official cathedral of the new Pope. It always is. As the Bishop of Rome, this is his church, and you only have one. That's your official seat, and it is the Church of St. John Lateran. That will all happen over the coming weeks once we actually have the new Pope. But I just thought it was interesting to look into what actually happens once the Pope is named the Pope. Like, what do you do? What do you do to be the Pope? What happens? And it's basically accepting it and giving your name and giving your blessing to the assembled crowd. Pope John Paul II actually delivered a homily pretty much right off, because I believe he was elected during the day, but just went right into it, and he was a pastor, and that's what he did. I don't know, looking forward to this. Hopefully we can get a daytime election, not a nighttime election tomorrow. Maybe get more than a quick papal blessing out of it when everyone's exhausted and ready to go to bed. Maybe get some actual words and actual homily. I don't know, but this is pretty exciting. Tomorrow could be the day, or by the time you're watching this, today could be the day. I don't know. We will see. But stay safe and keep watching for our new Pope, and we'll talk to you later.